All right, so today we just put together the two things that we've been doing, the horizontal and the vertical stretches. So the summary of how these work is if A is greater than 1, okay, so let's see, let's just put it right here. Okay, if A is greater than 1, you're going to have a vertical stretch. Okay, if A is between 1 and 0, you're going to have a vertical squeeze. And then if A is less than 0 or negative, you're going to flip it over the x-axis. Okay, so that's what's happening with the letter A. And then the B value we called Bizarro World, because when B is greater than 1, it's actually going to be a horizontal squeeze instead of stretch. So when that value is bigger than 1, you get, instead of getting a horizontal stretch, you get a horizontal squeeze. Okay, if it's between 0 and 1, then you get a stretch. And then if it's negative, if it's less than 0, then you're going to flip it over the y-axis. They might, but there's a flyer right up here. I want to just take a look at it on my desk right over there. Okay. So on our first one here, we got 3/4 x. Let's see if you. All right, so the 3's telling you that's your amplitude, so that's your A value. Your B value is your frequency. That's how many of these you're going to see. So we're going to see 4 sine curves between 0 and 2 pi. So if you're going to see 4 of them, that tells you this is going to be a horizontal squeeze. Okay, it's getting, because now instead of seeing 1 sine curve, we're going to see, it's going to end up looking like this. 1 sine curve, 2 sine curve, 3 sine curve, 4 sine curve. That's what that's telling you. Now, ours will look a little different because we're going to change the numbers instead of changing the graph. All right, so let's see. A is bigger than 1, so you got a vertical stretch. B is bigger than 1, so you get a horizontal squeeze. So this is getting stretched vertically and squeezed horizontally. By the factors, you mean? Yeah, so this is a vertical stretch by a factor of 3, and this is a horizontal squeeze by a factor of 1/4. So now the period, which is normally 2 pi, is going to be a lot shorter. So it's going to be 2 pi over b, which is now pi over 2. And that is shorter than the normal one. So that also tells you that you got a horizontal squeeze because it's shorter. So let's see. Whoops. That's shorter, so you got a horizontal squeeze. Okay. Now you're going to mark it off on your drawing. So let's see. We got our amplitude goes here and here. And our period, if we color code this, goes right there. So 3, -3. Then it's just a matter of cutting everything in half. So this guy's going to be pi over 4. And then when I take pi over 4 and cut it in half, pi over 8. And then you count. Okay, so when I'm counting here, I'm going 1 pi over 8, 2 pi over 8, 3 pi over 8. Okay. 2 pi over 8. So then this guy's going to be 3 pi over 8. Now, you don't have to write those out. I'm just showing you how the counting works. Okay, and then once you have that, you just draw your sine curve. So even though it doesn't look like it's been vertically or horizontally squeezed, it has, because we changed the numbers. And when in doubt, you can go to that Desmos page and you can see what it would truly look like if we didn't change the numbers. Okay, like right, I think it's, let's see, back. Desmos links. Let's see, this was a sine frequency. So if you just click on that one, yeah, those are bookmarked. So all you do, we haven't done what D is yet, but let's see, A was 3, D stays 0, and B was 4. So in that purple part, you can see there's 4 cycles of sine between, because that purple block is from 0 to 2 pi. So there's your vertical stretch and your horizontal squeeze. Okay, let's see, log in. Okay, search. Let's see, I had another one. And I'll bookmark this one for you too. Let's see. Copy. Edit. Add. And this one does both graphs, so you only need one Desmos opened instead of having 2. Control V. Add. So the one that says sine, cosine will do both of them. You just click on which graph you want. Do you want sine? Do you want cosine? Okay. So we were doing, there's the red one is your normal sine, and then your blue one here is your, let's see, this was 3. Now you can compare what it looks like to a normal one. The blue one is the new one. The red one is the original. So it's been squeezed. Alrighty. Okay. So now you got all sorts of stuff going on. Let's see. That's your amplitude. So remember, amplitude's a positive number. 9/5. Okay, 9/5 is bigger than 1. So that's a vertical stretch. And I'm just going to write factor 9/5. 9/5. Now, what the negative does, where that negative is, that's going to flip it over the x-axis. All right, so let's if we color code this here. Okay, so let's see. There's A. So remember, that goes here and here. And when we get the period, that goes right there. Okay, so let's see. 9/5, 9/5. Okay, and now the frequency is 2/3. All right, 2/3 is less than 1. So that's going to be, if we look at our little chart that we made, 2/3 is less than 1. That's going to be a horizontal stretch. So it's going to look like we pulled on it. Okay, so this is going to be horizontal stretch. and then the factor is 3/2. You flip it. So it's like 1.5 times longer. So we should get a period that's longer than 2 pi. 2 pi divided by 2/3. Okay, now we cut them in half. So this guy's going to be 3 pi times 1/2. 3 pi over 2. And then this guy's going to be 3 pi over 2 times 1/2, which is going to be 3 pi over 4. Okay, now the counting part here. So this first block is 3 pi over 4. So I got 3 pi over 4. So this is going to be another 3 pi over 4. So that's going to be 6 pi over 4, which reduces to 3 pi over 2. So then this guy is going to be 9 pi over 4. And then this guy would be 12 pi over 4, which is 3 pi. So this is what you're counting by, whatever this first value is. 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, now you're going to take your cosine and flip it, or your sine. So normal sine looks like this S. So when I flip it, instead of going up, it goes down first. Whoops. So always goes through the corners of the boxes. And if we wanted to see what that guy looked like, let's see. So I got sine. A was 9/5. That's 1.4. 9/5 is 1.4. Now, to type 9/5 into here, guys, you can always just highlight this like that. Just highlight it and go 9 divided by 5. 1.8, I'm sorry. And then B was 2/3. 2 divided by 3. And there's your new graph. So it takes, to see one cycle on the blue one, you got to go all the way to 3 pi. To see one cycle on the red one, the red dotted one, you just have to go to 2 pi. All right, now the next two that we're going to do are a little different because of B. All right, so if you look at, well, let's do the A value first. That's easy. A, 3. So that goes here, here. 3, -3. Okay, and that's going to be a vertical stretch. All right, now here's where this is different than the other ones. If you look at the B value, B is pi over 2. So these other ones never had a pi. Look at this one was 2/3. This one was 4. Back the other day, we had B values of like a half. The B value never had a pi in it. Okay, now this one all of a sudden has a pi in it. Okay, now you want to know, is this greater or less than 1? So if I did pi divided by 2, guys, it would look like this. Let's see, second quit, clear. Okay, second pi divided by 2. That's your B value. It's bigger than 1. So this is going to be a horizontal squeeze. That means it's going to have more curves in it. No, I didn't want to do that. What'd I do? Come back. Whoops. All right. So now we know this thing's going to look a little bit, it's going to be squeezed. And the factor is going to be 2 over pi. Okay, so this right here, that's really 1.57. So it's bigger than 1. So you're going to have a horizontal. Let's see, if it's bigger than 1, it's going to be a squeeze. Factor is 2 over pi. Okay, and then now 2 pi divided by pi over 2. Times 2 over pi. Okay, so all the other ones, when you put in the period, it was like 3 pi, pi over 2, 2 pi over 3. Now there's no pi in your period. It's just the number 2. Because the pi's ended up getting canceled. So this is just 2. So that's easy to cut in half. 1. Half of 1 is a half. So we could write a half. Or 0.5, same thing. So this would be 1/2. 2 halves, which is 1. So this guy right here is going to be 3 halves. And this guy, 4 halves. So that's how we get that, 3 over 2. And now just sketch your let's see, this is a sine, so there it is. So I'm putting a little asterisk by this. The b value has a pi in it. So we're going to do 6 because it's another one that's got that same b value with a pi in it. Okay, can I move on? Are we ready? Okay, so here's another one that's one of those ones that you just got to be aware of when it has a pi in there. Okay, so we got amplitude 1/2. So I'm going to highlight that, and those go there. Okay, period goes there. All right, so we got ourselves a vertical squeeze. Factor 1/2. And I should have wrote the amplitude was positive because amplitude is a positive number. It's not a negative. So this is going to be 1/2. The negative just flips it. Okay. All right, now the b. Pi over 4. Yeah. Let's see. Right here, that should be 4. Let's see. 2. Yep, you're right. My bad. Thank you, guys. Okay, so that should be 4 pi over pi. So this is going to be 4. Yep. Good job. Okay, so that guy's going to be 2, this is going to be 1, and that would be 3. Okay, and back here we got a half, a half. All right, now we're going to take our, so pi over 4 is going to be, let's see, bigger than 1 or less than 1? So let's, okay, so let's see, second pi divided by 4. So it's less than 1, so this thing's going to be a stretch. Okay. So this was like 0.78, which is less than 1. Okay, and we said when it's less than 1, it's going to be a horizontal stretch. All right, so now we do a period. So now you're going to count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. And we're going to take our normal cosine, which looks like this, and flip it. It flips over the x-axis because of that negative. Yeah. So it's going to open. And remember, you're always going through corners. Now, if you're doing this one on Desmos, to type in pi, you can just type in the letters Pi. So if I was putting this one in here, okay, I'm going to click off the sine curve, and I'm going to look at the cosine curve. Down here, I'm going to click off the sine curve and turn on the cosine curve. Okay, and A is 0.5 or a half. And then to do B, I just go Pi divided by 4. And that's what it looks like. Oh, I forgot the negative. Negative. Now, if I got rid of these numbers here, guys, the way you get rid of the pi's on the x-axis, you just go up to the wrench, and I just get rid of that step right here, and now it's back to normal numbers. And there's my period. One big upside down cycle of cosine. Stops at 8. And then if I want the pi's back on, just make the step pi divided by 2. And now it turns the pi's back on. Okay. All right, let's zip through these real quick and go ahead. And then I'll show you some of the stuff on the assignment. Is just you're not drawing, you're kind of matching. All right, so 6 1/4. Okay, 1/4 is less than 1, so that's going to be a stretch. So we got a vertical stretch. The factor's 6. Then we got ourselves a horizontal stretch. Factor's 4. And the last one. So since there's no number out front other than the negative, that's really a -1. So that's your amplitude, +1. Okay, and so that negative there, that's going to flip it. That guy makes it flip. Okay, frequencies, 3/2. 3/2 is bigger than 1. So this is going to be a horizontal squeeze. Whoops. Okay, so horizontal, squeeze. Okay, and then finally, let's see, 4 pi over 3 times a half is 4 pi over 6, which you can reduce. Okay, let's see, that's going to be 4 pi over 6, which is 2 pi over 3. And then 2 pi over 3 times a half. See, so when these cancel, that's why you get 2 pi over 3. These cancel, and you end up with pi over 3. And that's what you're counting by. Yeah. Oh, I will in a second here. Let me finish this up. Okay, so we got 1 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3. This would be 3 pi over 3 or pi. And now take your cosine and flip it. All right, so that takes care of all that. Did a boatload of graphing. Okay, so let's minimize that. All right, now on the assignment, guys, what that's going to look like. Okay, so you're going to do it on Google form. Here I printed it out. This is what it looks like. So you just fill in first name, last name, period 1. Okay, now what you got to do on these is match the graph. Which equation is equal to that graph? All right, so if you're looking at that, what you can do is look at the graph and get what the A value is. So, well, first of all, look at, is it sine or cosine? So this is a sine graph because it starts at 0. So we know it can't be any of these. Okay, and then the A value is 2. And I really don't have to go any further because, yeah, those have A values of 1. So that would be my choice. Okay, now let's pick one that's got a different period in it. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, let's see, this is 5. Okay, so if I look at this again, this is a sine. All right, its A value is 1. Now, if you count how many of them you have between 0 and 2 pi, that's going to be your B value. So here's one cycle of sine. Here's a second cycle of sine. So that tells me B is 2. Okay, you always, to get B, just go from 0 to 2 pi and count the number of cycles that you see. 2 cycles between 0 and 2 pi. So I know B is 2. Now, when you submit this, it'll tell you your score. You can go back and redo it if you want to improve your score. But that's what you're doing on these. All right. Okay, guys, we'll stop there for today. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Okay. How do I scroll here? Okay. All right. 2. Yeah, let's see. 2 sine. Okay, so if you look at this one, if you count the number of sines, there's 1 sine, 2 sines, so there should be a 2 in front of the x. Right, but so it should have a 2 there. So this one's actually going to be none of these. This one should be 2 sine 2x. Its amplitude is 2, and then there should be a 2 in front of that x. And that's not one of the choices. So that one's going to be none of these. Okay. Let's see. That one there, let's see, if I count, there's 1 cycle of sine, so B is 1, and the amplitude's 2. That's correct, yep. Okay, there is 2 cycles of sine, yep. So B's 2. Okay, there is 1 cosine, and yep. Okay, so now there's, okay, so for the cosine here, yeah, we don't see a full, we only see half of a cosine. So, yep. And there we see the period is, what is it? Amplitude, yep. Okay, the period, so it's 1 cosine, 2 cosines. So here, there's 2 cosine curves, so my period is going to be none of these, yep, because it would be 2. You follow on that? Why it's 2? Okay. All right. Yep, so 2 pi divided by 4 would be pi over 2. Yep. Okay, this would be, period is going to be 2 and pi over 2. So you can't have a negative period All that negative does is flip it. It flips it sideways. So, yep. Okay, let's see. Amplitude 3, period, is going to be 2 pi times 3 over 2 pi over 3. Let's see. Let's double check that. So that's going to be 2 pi, so that's going to be 6 pi over 2, which is 3 pi. Yep. So, yep. Okay. Amplitude is going to be positive 4 still. Okay. The negative just flips it. So amplitude's always a positive number. The negative just tells you to flip it. And then 2 pi divided by 5. Yep. Yep, it's always positive. Okay, so this is going to be a flipped sign. So it's going to go down first. Go down to negative 2 and then up, and we're not. That's what I got on. Yep. So this would be, yep, that would be 3 over 2, 6 over 2, which would be 3 pi. Yep. Yep. Yes. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, yep. Class code. Save. Oh, let's see. Just a second. Okay, hold on here.